Right, hello, welcome back to our YouTube live. So, just a reminder, we have gone live previously. So, this is our, I believe, fourth live that we are going to start. So, if you can hear me, just please let me know in the chat. I am using this mic, so I'm just checking if it's working. So, do let me know in the chat section if you can hear me, and then we can get started. Okay, walaikum salam. So, CR7 fan, are you one of my students? I don't know. I don't know if I should watch you or me. Everything, Mister Everything English. That's completely fine. It's up to you what you want to watch. I'm completely fine with that. Whichever one suits you best. So if you can hear me, please let me know in the chat section, and then we can get started. So just leave a thumbs up if the audio is clear. So we're going to run for around half an hour today, and just go over some top tips and some examiners' commentary on how to score top marks. Okay. Right, awesome, excellent. So, good evening, year 11. So, welcome back to our um, YouTube live where we are going to run over our language paper one, which will be taking place tomorrow. So, what I wanted to do very quickly is to run through the paper. And as I go through it, if you have any questions, please ask because this is your final opportunity to ask any last minute questions. So I'm going to go over the AQA exam board as that does cover majority of the students. But a lot of the things I mentioned, if you're EdXL or EDUCAS, it does apply for you as well. So do sort of take this into consideration. Right. So the exam tomorrow, first things first, is 1 hour 45. And you know that section A will be reading and section B will be writing. So for that question, again, it's up to you how you want to start. Some of my students have decided that they're going to start off with section B, so the creative writing. Others have decided that they're going to go with section A reading. So again, it's up to you which order you go through, as long as you answer the questions. Sir, I got a question. Okay, yep. So please let me know in the chat. How about those compare and contrast questions? Compare and contrast questions, that's for language paper 2. So that's not for tomorrow's exam. So that is for next Monday. So we will be starting a revision course, again, free on YouTube, live every day starting tomorrow. So you do need to prepare for language paper 2. It's equally as important. And if anything, if you look at the statistics, language paper 2 is slightly more challenging because you've got two sources. Right. So let's start off with question one, the first question that you're going to attempt in the paper tomorrow. So you will have a 4 marker. So you simply have to list 4 things about the setting or the character or a noun. So you simply need to just list 4 things. So start off with the noun phrase. So, for example, Mr. Fisher is this, Mr. Fisher is that, Mr. Fisher is this, Mr. Fisher is that. So, 4 simple statements, and that should literally take you 4 minutes. Okay, so it shouldn't take you too long in terms of this question. I made how should I apply those to my home alone so with an intrude outside? Thanks. For question 5, paper 1, I've got a sunny paragraph and a dark and stormy paragraph. I made how should I apply those to my home alone story with an intrude outside? Yeah, so if you think about it, so it could start off with your dark and stormy paragraph. You're establishing a dark, hostile tone, and then you want to start bringing in the intruder, and then you talk about the events, what happens, okay, the altercation, the climax, and then towards the end of your narrative or your story, you add a plot twist. So something that happens that brings a positive ending. Okay, so perhaps you were struggling to get rid of this intruder, and then someone comes to the rescue. Okay, and then obviously you can have that sunny paragraph that comes later on. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. Is an ascending term policing structural technique? Okay, that is more applicable for language paper too. But yeah, if you look at that again, I don't really see why you can't. But there's more important things for you to look out for structure, Rehan. I would say look at the focus shifts from the beginning to the middle to the end. And also identify any other structural techniques. The most common being chronology, zooming in, zooming out, flashbacks, flash forwards, foreshadowing, things like that. Those are the most common things you want to pick out. So that's question one for you. So I'm going to have to move on for question number two. So question two is always about language analysis. So you need to explore the effect of language. So my question to you is you have these bullet points that the exam board have provided you with. So the first one is words and phrases, second one is language features and techniques, and the third one is sentence forms. Can you get full marks purely writing based on words and phrases? Is that a possibility? So words and phrases that includes verbs, adjectives, nouns, adverbs, etc. Can you still get full marks? Is that a possibility? Yep, absolutely. Yes. So that is correct. So you need to look at the different words and phrases tomorrow, and the exam board will intentionally give you a range of word classes. So do I sort of identify the word class, so the adjective or the noun or the adverb, and talk about the impact of it. What is the effect? So a lot of students, even recently today, so some of my students asked me, so what do we mean by effect? So effect is what kind of impact does it have? Okay. So, okay, let's think of a random example. What is the effect of you revising and attending this YouTube live? The effect is you will have more knowledge, more information going into the exam. If you have more knowledge, more information, you will go into the exam tomorrow with confidence. Okay, so that's something that you need to remember and consider. So, what you can do is essentially write one paragraph for each. So, one petal or peel paragraph on the words and phrases, one on the language features and techniques, and one on the sentence forms. Sentence forms, again, don't stress about it if you don't find anything. But the most common one I always find in any insert is a declarative sentence. Okay. Can you mention punctuation and how it's effective for question two? Please let me know in the comment section below. So, do you have any idea what the questions will be tomorrow? I can't really say much regarding that. CR7 fan. Okay, Tanim Tahira. Okay, so it's great to see you all attending today's YouTube live. What I am going to do is for starting tomorrow, we are going to get started with language paper two. I know you've got many other exams, but because of a lack of time and we're only 7 days away, you want to prepare for language paper two. It's a challenging exam and it's slightly more intense compared to language paper one. So yes, you can look at punctuation. So if you look at this example, you can look straight away. Mr. Fisher remembered a time, surely not so long ago, when books were golden. Who knows how the writer has used punctuation? And in fact, what punctuation has the writer used here for effect? This is AQA, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's AQA. Repetition of when. So what punctuation has the writer used here within that first line? What do we call this? Mr. Fisher remembered a time, surely not so long ago, when books were golden. So what have they used here? What type of punctuation? Okay, okay, dash, well done, Tahira, but specifically it's a double dash, okay? Tamim, hyphen to emphasize. It's not a hyphen, okay? A hyphen, remember, is used to join compound adjectives together. For example, the easiest one I can think of is sugar-free drinks, right? So, you know, when you write sugar-free, you'll have a hyphen to join them together. So this is in fact a double dash, okay? So the double dash here, students, is used to emphasize what is being said within the middle. Surely not so long ago. So this is an example of flashback as well. So if you refer to that for question three, that's completely fine. But the double dash here is emphasizing surely not so long ago. It's talking about how time has, flown by so quickly for Mr. Fisher. Sentence forms, that includes declarative sentences, a compound sentence, a complex sentence. You'll always find that. I guarantee you tomorrow, you will find that within the text. Look here, we've got an easy example. In those days, comma, thought Mr. Fisher, comma, we dreamed in color, comma, though films were in black and white, comma, and good always triumph in the end. Easy, okay? Who knows what type of sentence this is? Think about sentence forms. Who can comment in the chat? What type of sentence is that? Is it a short, simple sentence? It looks like a short, simple sentence to me. Okay, Max, well done. That is an example of a complex sentence. That's correct, because a complex sentence has two or more clauses that are joined with commas. Okay, so you can see there's two or more clauses here, and it's separated with commas. Okay, so well done, Max. Hi, how closely do I need to stick to the narrative prompt on question 5? Yeah, it should be very close, but it doesn't have to be exactly related to the question, but it should definitely be along those lines. Okay, so that's my advice, and that's my answer to your question. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. For question 2 tomorrow, you have to be quick. 8 marks, you should spend around 10 to 12 minutes at most. Let me show you some of the examiner's sort of commentary in terms of question 2. If you want to make notes, feel free, because this is from the examiner's report. A lot of students don't read the examiner's report for some reason, but I always go over the examiner's report with my own students, because you need to learn from previous years. So let's have a look at it in further detail, and you can ask me questions going into tomorrow's exam. So the following comments have been lifted from reports on the exam. Both these questions assess the student's ability to comment on the writer's use of language and to explore the effects of the language choices made. So the most successful students typically. So I think slightly cropped, but I'll just read it out. The most successful students typically. So this is what you need to show tomorrow. Make a wise selection of language examples. So this was examples cited in the June 2019 report. It included the imagery of the towering wave, the avaricious belly, and the washing machine. So use a wise selection of language examples. So what this means is you have to be very precise. Okay, it's like throwing darts. You don't have enough time. Okay, so you have to be very specific with the quotes you choose, and always pick quotes where you have a lot to talk about. What I see quite often is that students pick out quotes which are not really relevant or are not best suited to answer the question. So, yes, you have to use a wide selection, but be very specific, be judicious. Secondly, write about the effects of a specific word choice. So this is an effective approach for all students, but can work particularly well for lower ability students, as it encourages them to focus and explain the effect in more detail. So this is very important. Write this down. Write about the effects of a specific word choice. There's a certain reason they use specific words. Okay, so instead of the word instead of using the word loud, they could use the word roaring. So you want to look at the effect of using that. So I'm sure you would agree. There's a difference when you use loud compared to roaring, and you want to explore why the writer has done that. What is the effect? Okay. Next up, explore ideas by considering different interpretations of quotations and textual detail. So to those of you who I teach personally, you would know how many times have I told you all consider different interpretations. Okay, so I'm sure to those of you I teach, you would see often your feedback I provide in your books is always consider different interpretations. Look at it from different angles. Okay, think to yourself, you've got a camera and you're taking pictures from multiple angles. Similarly, tomorrow for question 2, when you look at the quote, try to look at it from different angles, because that shows perceptive understanding. Okay, so I hope that gives you some sort of clarity, and this is essentially a top tip as well in terms of how to score top marks. Um, Include perceptive comments and take a more conceptualized approach. Write about language choices within a framework of the big ideas in the text. So an example cited in June 2019 report stated students demonstrated an understanding of the writer being sucked into the belly of the wave in terms of the endless battle between man and nature, concluding that man is only ever at a disadvantage because of the imbalance of power. So remember, we predicted that there's this predator-prey relationship, power of man versus power of nature. Again, that sort of notion is quite often seen within the insert. So do keep an eye out for that. And one other prediction I'll have for tomorrow's insert is look at how the weather is being described. Often the writer uses zoomorphism, okay? Often the writer uses pathetic fallacy as well to show you the aggressive and the truculent nature of the weather, okay? Whether that's the snow, whether that's the rain, okay? Okay, so let's have a look at the questions. Well, the question is use language and structure, have specific for structure. What could we use to add up to structure? Um, okay, so I'm assuming your exam board is Edexcel. So I do have students sitting the Edexcel exam tomorrow. So for structure, you can look at literally the paragraph length. You can look at a one sentence paragraph. Look at the atmosphere that the writer is trying to establish and create. Look at the mood. Is there a motif? Is there a reoccurring idea? So these are things that you can explore for structure. If you're unsure what structure is, do check out my YouTube channel. I have done a video on what structure is. So just go through the playlist and have a look there. So for question I need to help to improve my vocab. What I would say, random account is learn at least 5 to 10 words today, and try to memorize synonyms, easy synonyms. For example, for the word large, you could learn the word gargantuan. For the word small, you could refer to petite. For the word happy, ecstatic. Um, for the word sad, you could say um, frustrated or upset, or trepidatious for nervousness. So what I would say is the best thing to do now is go on the thesaurus and try to find synonyms for those words. Okay, so for question 5, can I start with one word sentence, then sunny paragraph, then dark paragraph? After that, my story can start, but I will start, uh, but I will start, bro, the climax, so I don't do much from not bro. Okay, I'm confused. Okay, don't overcomplicate it. I'm CR7 fan. I would say keep a simple story plan. To those of you who know, I've said this many times. Keep your story plan simple because you do only have 45 minutes. Okay, some of you, I've looked at your what do you call it? Your pre-plan or your pre-written story. So I know some of you are attending this live. I hope you have memorized as much as you can. And this is for my students. If you haven't memorized, don't stress. If you somehow forget tomorrow, my best advice, so that goes for those of you here now, is start using your language techniques and your five senses. Okay. Don't panic and don't stress if you haven't memorized your key sort of paragraphs and sentences. Can I plan my story before the exam? Yeah, absolutely. Why not? You should do that, and that's how you would do well. So that goes for everyone here, to be fair. Right. So moving on. Students could improve in areas by, so that goes for question 2 and question 3. Avoid getting distracted by technical terms. So trying to spot techniques without really understanding or acknowledging the effects achieved by the writer. How many times have we seen this? So many students identify, oh, okay, we've got a simile, we've got a metaphor, okay, hyperbole, but they don't explore the effect. What is the point? That's completely futile. So I need you to make sure you identify the technique, but tell us the effect it achieves. That's important. That's all the examiner cares about. In fact, you can score 8 out of 8 or full marks purely looking at the simile and the metaphor and the effect of it. Okay, so there's no need for you to be overcomplicated and find these complex techniques when you can't even explore the effect. Okay, so my tip for you tomorrow is explore the effect of language for question 2, and for question 3, structure, explore how we interest the reader. Okay, so I hope that answers your questions. Right. So that's that. Another top tip you need to remember is avoid speculative comments on how the reader might respond. So these are less helpful than specific references to the effects within the context of the source material. For example, comments such as the reader might be scared by the description of the wave, which speculates rather than rooting the idea more firmly in the text. So you need to show specific evidence that may show that they could be scared. Okay, so that's something you need to remember. Now, that is, to be honest, question 2 covered for you. I'm going to have to move on because of time. I know some of you want to crack on and do some work, but I'll be honest with you. For this evening, I wouldn't really recommend like doing some past papers because there's a lack of time. Just learn and memorize as much as you can from your notes. Question 3. is all about structure. So you're looking at the focus shifts from the beginning to the middle to the end. And importantly, you need to underline this tomorrow. Interest you as a reader. How does it interest you as a reader? You need to explore this in thorough detail. The example, they give you these 3 bullet points. You need to use this for guidance. Okay. So what the writer focuses your attention on at the beginning of the source, tell us what the focus is and identify the structural technique. Secondly, how and why the writer changes this focus as the source develops. So tell us how they do it. So the how is obviously through a structural technique, and why. So that could be, again, the reason to why it keeps the reader intrigued to find out more. And the third one, any other structural features that interest you. So structural features, students, here we have all the main structural features. I did cover it yesterday. So just to reiterate, you can literally divide the insert into 3 parts, from the beginning to the middle to the end. So these are some examples. So zooming in from something big to something much smaller, shift between different times, or a shift in tense from the present to the past, or the past to the present, etc. A gradual introduction of new characters. What's the significance of that? Moving from the inside to the wider outside world. Combine external actions with internal thoughts. Alternate between different points of view. So is there a shift in perspectives? Move from the wider outside world to the inside. So if they're describing the setting, they're establishing a certain tone, a certain atmosphere, and there's a transition. Okay, if there's a transition, you want to talk about that as well. Switch between different places. Is there a shift in setting? Okay, from the inside to the outside, or the outside to the inside. Non-chronological order. This is quite common, to be fair. You'll find this in a lot of inserts. I wouldn't say most, but it's a high possibility that the writer uses a flashback tomorrow. Develop and reiterate, focusing on a dominant point of view by expanding and repeating it. So these are some top tips for you to remember. So we've got a few questions. Let's have a look at it quickly. How to solve writer's effect, please? Well, I mean, to answer that, I would say it again depends on what the quote is. Okay, so that's a difficult question to answer. So it really depends what the words are. For question 5, do you think there could be a chance for 2 description choices or 2 story choices to pick from? It's a possibility, but I reckon it would be 1 narrative and 1 description. Okay. So also, when we use ambitious words rather than basic words, do we get higher marks for that? What do you think? Does anyone know who can answer that? Do you get extra marks for using ambitious vocabulary? And if you use it accurately, do you get extra marks? Who can answer that? Do we get extra marks for using ambitious vocabulary? Can anyone answer that in the chat? It's a good question because, again, I see this question quite often by students. So if you use ambitious words or highly descriptive words, does that get you extra marks? Does anyone have an answer? Does anyone know? Yep, absolutely. Yep. So it's quite obvious because in the mark scheme, they do mention extensive and ambitious use of vocabulary. So that goes for all exam boards. So who asked that? Yeah. So to answer that question, who did? Okay, yeah, CR7 fan. So yes, you do need to use ambitious words because in the mark scheme, it doesn't say once, it doesn't say twice, but it says 3 times for you to use ambitious vocabulary. Of course, you get more as long as you're not being pretentious. Yeah, that, absolutely. You need to use it correctly. Obviously, you can't just waffle and just copy and paste anything. Cool, sir. I'm just gonna do a bit. I'm just gonna do a bit and change my focus to the end for question 3. Beginning and change format for to the okay. Yeah, but often what happens, you'll find something in the middle as well, CR7 fan. Try to use the 222. Yep. So that's fine completely. Okay, cool. So that's question 3. Let's move on to question 4. I hope that covers question 3. So leave a thumbs up if you're confident and you're ready to go for question 3 for tomorrow. And then I can move on to question 4. So is everyone ready for question 3, structure? Does everyone understand what structure is? If so, leave a thumbs up. Also give this live stream a like so we can continue making regular YouTube live streams. So let us know in the comment section below. Do you understand structure now? And do you feel confident going into the exam tomorrow? If so, just leave a like or a thumbs up in the chat. So thumbs up if you understand what structure is now. Excellent, awesome. So it's great to see that you all understand structure. And again, I can see a lot of my own students here. You have made substantial progress in English. So it's all, it's now just a matter of time now, and it's now using it in your exam. I subbed and liked. Awesome, excellent. So let's hopefully get to 1,000 subs in the next few days, and that would be amazing because I did start this YouTube channel not long ago. I think like 3 months ago. So that would be amazing. We are going to start language paper 2 tomorrow. So a lot of content to go over tomorrow. So if you can make tomorrow's live, do let me know. We are going to start. I would say 8 p.m. tomorrow for language paper 2. Leave a thumbs up if you can make it for tomorrow's live at 8 p.m. So we'll run for probably half an hour to 1 hour. We'll be looking at section A reading. Okay, so questions 1 and 2, and we'll be looking at some past paper questions, model answers, and some top tips. Okay, so thank you very much. Okay, awesome. Thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. How much is the paper out of, and how much do you need to get a 4? Okay, so I have done a video on it. So a recent video on the grade boundaries. So I would say roughly, probably around 38 out of 80. Okay, so 38 out of 80 would get you a grade 4. Um, Okay, how much do we need to get it for? Yeah, so Walid, I've answered that. So around 38 out of 80. So in simple terms, Walid, you should be aiming for half, okay, half of the paper, 40 out of 80. 8 p.m. is fine. Awesome. How much do we need to get a 4? Okay, I've answered that. Walid is out of 80. Yep, cool. In terms of tomorrow, what would you like to see for language paper 2? Do let me know so I can plan ahead. Any suggestions? What question would you like to look at and revise tomorrow in tomorrow's revision session? It's so easy to check the grade boundaries. Just Google it. Okay, that is true, but remember we've got different exam boards, and it is quite different for the different exam boards. So if you're Edexcel or Educast, it's slightly different compared to AQA. If you have any suggestions for any particular questions you want to look at tomorrow, please let them in the please let me know in the chat section below so I can plan the live session for tomorrow. Right. Okay, so that's awesome. Could we talk about effect of language and structure in question 4? Yeah, absolutely. If you talk about the effect of language and structure, make sure you link it back to how it shows the student statement being accurate. That's the main thing you want to remember, okay? So for paper 2, please do question 5, 4, and 2. Okay, what I would like, okay, I think the best way to do it is, can you leave your suggestions? What question would you like to cover tomorrow? So then that way we know what we're covering. So just write one question. You only get to choose one. Can you just leave them in the chat so I know which question I should plan for tomorrow? Whether that's question 5, question 4, 3, 2, or 1. Tomorrow's revision. No, mine's first thing 9 o'clock. Okay. Paper 1, question 2, and paper 2, question 3 is basically the same, just 4 extra marks added. Yeah, okay, CR7, that is correct. So, yeah, so essentially it's copied and pasted, right? So it's the same concept, but obviously it needs to be further detailed, okay? So that's fine. Could we do question 2 and 3 because there's nothing to talk about for question 1? Yeah, question 1, to be honest, it's just shading in the statements. Question 5, sir. Question 2, Tahira. Shrikirana. Question 4. Okay, from here, I think it seems like question 2. Yeah, I can see question 2. So I think it makes sense. We'll look at a question 2. Is there live tomorrow morning? No, because I've got work, so I need to be on time. Hi, what exam board is this? Sorry. Hi, Molly. This is AQA. Okay, so this is the AQA English Language paper 1. So we're just running through the questions and taking some last minute questions and providing some top tips. Right. Moving on, so that's all to do with structure for tomorrow's exam. You're looking to write 2 to 3 paragraphs. Remember, it's the whole source, okay? The exam board have highlighted the word whole, so you should explore it in further detail. And tell us, how does it interest the reader? Look at the focus shift from the beginning to the middle to the end. So that's that. In terms of tomorrow's live, we will be looking at question 2. So do have your notepads ready for tomorrow's lesson. We'll go through a past paper and go over some model answers. Right, moving on. Question 3 is complete. Let's move on to question 4. This question, I have mentioned many times. It is in fact a crucial question. You need to agree with it to a large extent. Okay, so essentially, let me just break it down for you. You're looking to write around 4 paragraphs, exploring both language and structure, and you're going to tell us why it's effective and how it proves the student statement being correct. Now, can you provide a counter argument, or can you also disagree to an extent? Yes, absolutely. But again, that's if you can find a point. If you can't find a point, then don't stress. You can still get top marks by purely agreeing. Um, Flicks Racing, good luck, everyone. Yep, good luck to everyone tomorrow. You will all do really well. Don't worry. So I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. What should I practice right? Okay, I'll be honest. I don't think you should be doing any past papers tomorrow morning. Just flick through your notes. And if you have your question 5, learn your ambitious vocabulary. Just memorize, okay? Memorize whatever notes you have for tomorrow. Question 4, please. Okay. Get some. Okay, yep. Okay, cool. Right. So moving on. So for this question, remember, you should spend around 20-25 minutes. The more points you make, the more marks you are likely to pick up. It's so simple. So you've got 2 parts generally to the student statement. And in simple terms, the exam board are asking you, prove it. Prove it that this is correct. Okay. You need to prove and justify why you agree with the statement. That's all you're doing. Okay. So that's my advice. In terms of the question, remember, like I said, you cannot just write 1 or 2 paragraphs. Otherwise, you do risk yourself dropping an entire grade. So I need you to go into the exam tomorrow and write the best possible exam question for question 4. Um, so that's question 4. And finally, just to wrap up this live, very quickly, question 5, the last and final question, which is section B, your creative writing. So you will get the option, or you may get the option rather, of writing a description based on a picture. So this is a picture of an old man. Or the second one, which is to write a story about a time when things turn out unexpectedly. And it is worth 40 marks, okay? And I'll be honest with you, year 11, if you do well in question 5 or creative writing, you've done well in paper 1. So it's as simple as that. So you cannot mess up this question, and you shouldn't, to be honest, because throughout the last 6 to 9 months, you have been practicing many creative writing tasks. In terms of top tips, a range of language techniques, a range of what do you call it, structure. Use structure for effect. Use a range of punctuation. Okay, and see how you can implement ambitious vocabulary. Use it consistently because they do mention using a sustained use of language techniques and vocabulary. So don't just use it once, use it continuously as you go through it. And remember, when you answer this question, make sure you give yourself at least 5 minutes towards the end to check over for spelling, punctuation, and grammar. Okay, so that's absolutely crucial. Right. So I'm gonna think. Okay. Okay. I'll just go through my ambition. Yep. Okay. That would be good. Tahira, do you prefer to do a story or narrative? Okay. So hello, Tahira. So welcome to our YouTube live. I mean, again, it's personal preference. Let me know if you are going to choose the narrative or the description. And if you prefer one or the other, just let me know in the chat. But generally, just from my own students, I think most students would prefer the story. By the way, the narrative and the story is the same thing. Okay, just for your information. Approximately how many pages should we write? So, okay, good question, Shikrana. So, I would say you're looking to write around 2 to 2.5 sides. Okay, so 2 to 2.5 sides is the average and expected amount for this question and narrative. Narrative, yep, awesome. That's completely fine. If I was to sort of give my opinion, I would choose the narrative solely because you're not restricted. When you have a picture, so for example, this picture, I don't know, mentally you'd probably find it quite restrictive. So although you can tweak the picture, if you take this picture, you've got a man looking at a camera, so you can imagine himself in a abandoned house in a dark room. You can describe the room, describe the windows, the ceiling, the ceilings peeling away, the creaky wooden floorboards. Just tweak it. Just be versatile. Okay, don't just think to yourself it's what's in the picture. You can change it slightly. So are you allowed to use dialogue in descriptive writing? Okay, generally no, because you are describing. So what you have to do is use your five senses. What can you see? What can you hear? What you can taste? What you can touch? What you can smell? So you wouldn't really have dialogue in a narrative. Okay, but if you use it, don't worry. It's not the end of the world. But you generally should be focusing on your five senses. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. So yeah, it seems like most of you are going to choose the narrative, the story. So that's great, and I know you all are going to do really well. Okay, so you just need to be confident and write out how you have been writing in your classes. Yeah, I'm going to do a narrative now. Okay, awesome. Plan it though, or you're going to panic during the exam. Yeah. Okay. So CR7 pattern. Yeah, that's correct. So to those of you choosing the narrative, I have looked at some of my own students' answers. So you have already pre-planned your story. So literally tomorrow you just literally apply it and you tweak it based on the question they ask you. Don't go on a tangent. Make sure it's linked to what the question is asking. Obviously, so you have to be versatile. So that's that. Okay. Okay, Tammy, give something. Okay, how you got 38? Yeah, something along those lines. Okay, so Tahira, you did write a really good answer. So perhaps you can share some of your tips of how you would score 37 or 38 out of 40. Okay, so that's your question five. Remember, you need to plan for this question. Okay, absolutely crucial. A lot of students say, "Sir, I don't like planning. I like to just get started." No, you never know. If you panic and your mind goes blank, you need to make sure you plan. So, to those of you who don't know, you need to remember that uh, if you choose the description, you need to use your five senses to plan and use your imagination. Okay, think to yourself you're in the picture. And if you choose the story or the narrative, then obviously you may want to use Freytag's pyramid. So I think I've covered this before with some of you. So if I just, where is it? Yeah, there we go. This is Freytag's pyramid, students. You can use this to plan your narrative. So you have the exposition. So this is where you introduce the setting, the character. You describe the setting, establish a certain mood. And then you have an inciting incident, which is a trigger, which leads to a rising action, which is a build up. Then, right at the top, you can see the peak, you have the climax, which is the most exciting part of the story. And then you have the falling action, which is as a consequence, and then you have the resolution. Alternatively, what you can do is cross all of this out. This is all maybe irrelevant, and you can start from here, from the top, with the climax. So you go straight into the action using in media res. So again, you have that flexibility and that choice to decide how you start your story. Okay, okay, so I use yep, Tahira, well done. Okay, so I just tweaked it. Okay, I forgot. But just use that and expand it. Yep, well done. Yeah. So to those of you who I teach, you would know I've given you some positive and negative generic paragraphs that you can use. So you know the words on the back of our books. How much words? How many? Okay, okay. So Tahira, so to answer that question, you see the vocab list at the back of your book. A lot of the words are quite versatile, meaning you can use them for any exam question. Question five, I would say again, just a estimate or a prediction here. I would say probably like around 10. Okay. So 10, 10 ambitious vocabulary. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, for that. Wait, who's Tammy? Okay. So that is, okay. So that is one of my students as well. So from the same organization where I teach on the weekends. So that hopefully answers your question. Both positive and negative for control. Okay. How is it? Okay. Edexcel IGCSE paper one has compare and contrast. The past paper does have a compare ideas of rights from. Okay. Yeah, I don't really cover the IGCSE, so you may want to just skip what I just said there. So, what do you think question five is going to be on for the picture? I reckon it's going to be to do with nature, so it could be a forest or the beach. So that I think would be for the description. But again, I could be wrong. It's just a prediction. Uh, we have the same name. I do want. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So a lot of you probably know each other somehow, but again, you're probably from different schools, right? Anyways, so that is your plan using Freytag's pyramid for question 5. If you need to take a screenshot, take a screenshot. You can use this for question 5 tomorrow. Okay, straight away when you're writing a story, you can use this to plan your question 5. Right. So moving on, I'm gonna have to skip and quickly move on because of time. So yeah, so that is question 5 for you. Make sure you plan your question 5 and give yourself at least 5 minutes towards the end to check over your work. So yeah, I think that is me done for today's live. I would like to wish you all the best for tomorrow's exam. It's been an incredible journey, class of 2023. I wish you the best for tomorrow, and I'm sure you'll do really well. Okay, be positive, be optimistic, and write a lot within the time allocated, because the more points you make, the more likely you are to score top marks. I was taking a nap. Just tell me who you are. Okay, how many paragraphs would you think we should do? What question are you asking for, Waleed? Will he do 5 paragraphs for question 5? Again, that's low 6 to again. Look, okay. To answer that, I'm not. Again, these questions is difficult to answer because if you look at the specification, they don't really say. Look, students are expected to write 4 to 5 paragraphs. Again, it's just for guidance. Okay. If I was going to recommend or suggest for question 5, you're looking at a minimum of 4, up to 6 paragraphs. Okay, you could have 7 8 paragraphs, but maybe 1 or 2 could be like shorter paragraphs where there's a shift in focus. So if you include a 1 sentence paragraph or like a 3 line paragraph, then if you add those on, then yeah, it could be 8 paragraphs. Remember to use punctuation, very important. Okay, so your semicolons, the colons, the brackets, the hyphens, the dashes. Okay, so that's what my sort of advice for you. So yeah, so it's been incredible, teaching you all this year. I wish you the best for language paper 1. Go to sleep early today. Okay, I know I've had a lot of students stay up, revise all night, and then go into the exam half asleep. The last thing you want to do is fall asleep in the exam. So do go to sleep early and make sure you go into school early so you're not panicking and stressed. So yeah, I hope you all found this YouTube live beneficial. The feedback has been really amazing from students. I do really appreciate it. So let's hopefully get to 1,000 subs and get to monetization. How many? Okay, well, you do 5 hours. That's low. Okay. Any final questions before we wrap up? You've got this privilege, this luxury to ask, these live Q&As, questions, whatever. So do you think I should do a past paper before going to bed and then doing one more in the morning before the? No, I think that's too much. No, you need to just go over your notes. Perhaps you want to look over your sort of notes. Okay, Tamim, that's too too stressful. Right. So the students here, I've got a lot of grade 9 students. That's why they really need that grade 9. Okay, so that's why they're just panicking. But I guess it's a good thing. But yeah, so that's that. But everyone else, does anyone have any last minute questions? I'm gonna take a few more questions. Okay, meditation and relaxation music channel, bro. I have to get an 8. Okay, I wish you the best, and I'm sure if you work really hard and take the advice on board, you should be getting a grade 8. And don't think I can. No, you know, trust me. Like I'm telling you, I've worked with AQA, okay, the examiners, and I'm telling you, they don't mark strictly. They mark to compliment. They don't mark to scrutinize. Okay. So I did get offered to mark this year's papers, but I did decline it. But yeah, bro, I just need a 4. Okay, that's fine. Thanks, it's been good knowing you. Awesome. Okay, and how did you all find today's YouTube live? Leave me your thoughts, and if you have any final questions for the last few minutes before I end this live, I will save it. So if you want to watch it later on, that's completely fine. Bye, sir. Thank you. Okay, that's fine. Well done. All the best for tomorrow, Tahira. Adam, thank you, sir. Oh, hi, Adam. Okay. Yep. I think again you have everything that you need for tomorrow, and a lot of you, I can see most of you are my students. So I wish you the best. You've worked really, really hard this year. So go in there and smash those exams. I'm expecting a lot of grade 9s and some grade 10s as well from this class. And everyone else, I wish you the best for the exam. Sir, you will take over Mr. Everything English soon. Thank you very much. I have started this YouTube journey like 3 months, and hope we're almost on 1,000 subs. So I will be continuing. Any of you studying A levels, biology, chemistry, physics, and maths, English, economics, you will see a lot of content on my channel. So this is a long project, and it's a challenge that I've taken on board to grow this YouTube channel to a much larger scale. So it can benefit you not just in your GCSEs, but also A levels, university, how to write CVs, how to write personal statements, how to prepare for interviews, how to get into medicine, how to get into engineering, how to get into teaching, how to get into law, how to get into accountancy. So you will take over. Okay, thank you very much, CR7 fan. Although yes, it's definitely something that I do aim to do. So how many marks do you think you need for an 8? I think I've answered that question today, Tamim. I was teaching you a couple of hours ago. You should be aiming for, I would say, around 61, 62 marks, okay, out of 80. I'm going to go watch Miss Every after this. Not good. That's completely fine, CR7 fan. Thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. Um, dial Bob. Okay, let's say I do question 5 with an incorrect use of commas and full stops once. Will I be penalized a lot throughout the rest of my essay if it is good? No, it's not. It's not going to play a significant role if it's something so insignificant. If it's only once or twice, it's not a big deal. Sorry, sir, I forgot. That's completely fine. Yes, we all have had a long day. I've been marking student answers 24/7. Okay, so yeah, it's something that you just need to take on board and prepare for. So yeah, so what would Hafsa? Okay, what order do you think we should do the questions? Like a good question, Hafsa. I would say again, it's difficult to say, but if I was personally answering the paper again, I'll be honest, I would start off with question 5, the most important question, get it out of the way, and know that you've done really well for question 5, and then move on to section A. But again, if you prefer starting with section A, there's advantages and disadvantages. The advantage is that with section A, right? You are building and you're building this momentum, and often the ideas from section A, you may want to use some of those ideas in section B, and the picture you get in section B is related to what you've read in section A. Can you all let me know in the chat section who's starting off with section A? Just write section A if you're starting off with section A. If you're starting with section B, just write section B in the chat. Okay, I've been revising. I've been revising too much today. Yep. I still remember when I was in year 11 revising for these exams. Yeah, it was quite stressful. I can't lie. I've been okay. Okay. Section B, section B, section B. Any day. Well done. Section C, Tammy. Okay, well done. Okay, you can start off with section C. No problem. Yeah, again, it seems like most of you are going to start off with section B, so that's completely fine. But remember, as soon as you hit that 45-minute mark, you have to move on to section A. Okay, so again, personal preference is completely up to you. Yeah, and that is a joke. Yeah, there's no section C. Okay, so don't panic. There's no unseen poetry or unseen text. So yeah. When doing section A, shall we do question 4 first or just do it in order? Good question. That's a very good question. To answer that, I would say start off with question 2, then go on to question 3, then question 4. The reason being is question 2 is on language, question 3 is on structure, and question 4 combines the both and looks at evaluation. So a lot of the points you make on 2 and 3 may be relevant in question 4, or it may help you answer question 4 in better detail. So I would say 2, 3, 4. Okay, go in that order. Okay, so yeah, so thank you very much, and no start from 0. Okay, awesome. Right, so thank you very much. I will end it here for today. And okay, well that I was going to do as well. Okay, awesome. So what we'll do is we'll finish here for today, and remember, relax. Okay, it's not the end of the world. It is your exams, and don't stress too much. Okay, it is ultimately just an exam that you're going to sit. Okay, so that's fine. So yeah, so thank you very much. All the best. And I will be ending this live at exactly 50 minutes. So thank you very much. Please do subscribe, like, and share. We are going to start language paper 2 tomorrow evening around 8 p.m. So if you are interested, do join, because it will be highly, highly beneficial. And have your notepads and pens ready for your questions. So other than that, all the best. And do let me know how your exams went tomorrow. Thank you very much, and I'll see you very, very soon.